loves to see himself. Who's that? Who's that sweet little man? Hello, everybody. So we only have 2 chapters left. We're almost done with this book, and then I will start The Whipping Boy the day after tomorrow. So we'll finish up this one. That'll be fun. So, the usual question, what did you have for dinner? Put in the comments. I like to do this because, you kind of get stuck making the same thing over and over and over. It's kind of fun to hear what other people are doing. You're like, oh, yeah, I haven't made that forever. Or, hey, I've never tried that. I should try it. So what'd you have for dinner? Just for fun. I made soup, and it's... It's a little bit hard to explain, but it's like a cream of veggie soup, and you do any 2 veggies you want. Everybody's favorite that I've ever done out of all the combinations I've tried is potato and sweet pepper. And I usually use the little like orange and yellow peppers, so one side soup is orange and the other's white. Well, tonight I did yam and cauliflower. So it was orange and white, just like potato and pepper, but it was a totally different flavor with the yam because they're kind of sweet. So I did sweet potato on the one side and cauliflower on the other, and then you just put cheese and green onions on top. It was so good. And then I made rolls, yeast rolls, so the big fluffy, and they were so good. I don't make those very often because it takes hours, like 2.5 hours to make them, and so you have to make sure you start way ahead. But they turned out so good, it was worth it. And you guys had homemade bagel breakfast sandwiches. Oh, yum. I love breakfast sandwiches. You thirsty? Are you a thirsty boy? Huh? Yeah. I'm just going to drink all my water. Yummy. That I love to hear what you guys make. I like because it gives you ideas, for when you get stuck in a rut or something, you can think of something. Oh, that sounds good. And Tess called me and said, will you send me the recipe for that cream soup that you make with the different vegetables? And I've been wanting to make it ever since. So I did tonight, and it was extra good. Okay. And then I did do resin pour, like I said the other day. And so I've been working on it for days because you do the pour and it's a lot of fun. But then if you did any kind of jewelry or anything like that, you spend days putting all the elements on and finishing it. Like the work is not done. So I have a bunch more stuff. I'll show some of it off. You can't dump it. Here. Do we put it over here? There we go. Want a spoon? You love spoons. I made another cutting board because my cutting boards have been really popular lately. I've done several custom. This one is full of these really cute, real dark dried flowers. And I know my lighting is so bad, but I put a cute little butterfly in there and then the real flowers. And, when you can see it up against the wall, so it looks super solid, it's really, really cute. So I did this really cute cutting board. And then I did a bunch of like earrings. So these ones, this is fun because they had the tiny little hearts. And then I have these cute dolphin charms. I know I'm kind of blocking the light, so it's hard to see. And they're deep purple color, so they really match like the stone. You're so noisy. You want to see them? Oh, so pretty. Those I thought turned out really cute. I did a bracelet, these braided bracelets. I've sold quite a few of them. They're kind of big, and I usually like a little bit smaller stuff, but people really love these for some reason. I've sold a lot of this style with the braids and everything. So I just put one pretty white seashell in the turquoise glitter on this one. Turned out, really cute. And then here's one more pair of earrings. These ones they're kind of cool because they have the blue going into the purple. Again, my lighting is not great, so it's hard to tell. But then I put the cute bead on the bottom too. So they turned out really, really cute. And then a bunch of necklaces. So they have it's a little metal frame, and then I did the resin inside of them with dies and things. So this one's cool looking. I did a little, now I've got the chains all tangled. Well, that was done. Oh. Another moon, except with the gold frame, as you can see. That one, it's really pretty. I love the colors in these. This cute little sailboat. I like this one. I can get it untangled from all the other chains. So it's got this steel metal frame and then the sparkly inside, little sailboat, so cute. And then this one, I sort of had myself in mind when I made this, and I might keep this one because I need a blue necklace because I have several blue things and I always don't have something to wear with them. So I made this kind of for me in particular. So that one's really, really cute with the different shades and the little diamond. Anyway, okay, so showed off all that cool stuff. Oh, and another blue one too, another moon, mostly blue. I'm trying to decide, is the back cooler on that one with the white? I might have to flip it and do the other way around because the white sank to the bottom when I did it. So, okay. So to the story. You're silly. So recap of yesterday. So Kit went to trial. You may not put that dirty spoon in the water. For being a witch. And so they had a bunch of, absolutely silly, ridiculous stuff like she walked past the guy's house and he couldn't milk his cows and they stood rooted to the spot and wouldn't come when he called and just the silliest stuff. But the one thing that they were the most concerned about is they found a little copybook with Prudence's name written over and over. So they thought that was her trying to cast a spell on Prudence. And so they said, why would you do this? And she didn't want to say because she was afraid that if she told them that Prudence had been coming to Hannah's and she had taught her to read, then she would be in trouble and her mother would beat her and starve her. So she didn't want him to know. But Nat brought Prudence and she testified. And sure enough, her father was so proud of her that he kind of stepped up and decided to be the boss. And so it turned out good for Prudence and for Kit. So they dropped the charges because there was no evidence of witchcraft. So this is, oh, okay, little sweetie. I didn't realize you pulled my, I mean, it's humongous. I need to make me some bookmarks. I keep losing my place. Of course, if Caden pulls them out every time, it doesn't do any good anyway. But we were at chapter 20, so here we are. You little pumpkin. Oh, I'll show you the box he chewed up tomorrow. I made a little heart box, and the lid was still kind of soft because you can take them out of the molds, but they don't set up completely for like a whole nother day. And he just chewed bits and pieces off the lid of one of the boxes I made. He's such a helper. And see this? This was a cute clay sunflower I made. Look at this. He's taking bites out of it. Look at all that. He's such a helper. And once he ruins it, then I just let him have it, and that's probably why he keeps doing it, because I just let him have it, and he's like, oh, thanks. So then he sees another one, and I just need to keep him out of his reach till he learns, but you're a helper. Yeah. He's teething. He bit the crap out of my leg. Oh, my goodness, it hurt so bad. Okay, chapter 20. The day of the first snowfall, Mercy got out of bed. Judith, venturing outside as far as the well, came back, her cheeks glowing with bits of feathery white. Oh, that's not... Shit. Pardon my French. You little helper. Water all down the wall. Here. Okay. Let's drink that so you can't dump it on anything. There's nothing in that one. He's being a helper today. I'm sorry. Very distracting. Have an ice. Here, go eat an ice. Yum. I love you. He's like, no, I want to sit on your lap to eat my ice. Okay, back to the book. We'll start over. Chapter 20. The day of the first snowfall, Mercy got out of bed. Judith, venturing outside as far as the well, came back, her cheeks glowing with bits of feathery white clinging to her cloak and to her dark curls. "'Tis snowing," she announced. "Snowing?" Mercy struggled up on one elbow, her voice eager. "Come, let me touch it, Judith." Judith drew near the bed and held out her sleeve. The flecks of white vanished under Mercy's reverent fingertip. "I must see it," Mercy insisted. "Just for a moment, Mother. I can't miss the first snowfall." It took much preparation, as though for a long journey. 2 pairs of knitted wool stockings between her feet and the cold boards, the blue shawl wrapped securely about her ears, and a heavy quilt swaddled around her from head to foot. They formed a little procession, Rachel and Judith supporting the invalid at each elbow, and Kit following behind to hold up the trailing ends of the quilt from the sanded floor. Don't bite me. Don't bite me. Very slowly they crossed the room to the front window, and Mercy sank weakly into a chair and rested her chin against the window frame. Outside, the gray afternoon was speckled with drifting white. Already a thin powdery dusting had gathered in the wagon ruts of the road. The flakes fell softly, vanishing in the heaps of brown leaves, swirling in little smoky coils. I love the first snowfall better than anything in the world, sighed Mercy, her eyes worshipful. I'm kind of the same way. And we don't get snow in Florida. I miss the snow. Charles doesn't. He hates it. He hates snow. He's worked in it all his life. I do not miss it. But I didn't have to work in it. I just got to play in it, and I love it. It's beautiful. I can't imagine why, said Judith practically. It means you can scarcely step foot out the door again till spring. I know, but 'tis so beautiful. And it makes the house seem so warm and safe. To think that Kit has never seen snow before. Go to the door, Kit, and feel it for me. Kit went obediently to the door and stepped outside. The white flakes made a queer sort of confusion before her eyes. They brushed her cheeks like tiny flower petals and caught on her eyelashes. For a moment her heart lifted with a trace of Mercy's excitement. Then the old dampness soaked through her thin slippers and she shivered. I'm not sure I like it, she thought. It's curious and lovely in a way, but it makes everything so dark, and somehow it makes me feel shut off. Somewhere far beyond this endless curtain of white, green leaves and... Sorry, I totally missed the comma. Somewhere far beyond this endless curtain of white, green leaves and flowers were growing under a bright, warm sun. Would she ever see them again? Next morning her dark fears were swept away in a rush of wonder. Under a cloudless blue sky stretched a breathtaking, glittering universe, carved of dazzling white coral, unreal and silent. Every familiar sign was altered. There was no trace of life or motion. It was as though no eye but hers had ever looked out upon this purity and perfection. Then, as she looked, a living thing dared to intrude upon this untouched wilderness. Through the white carven carpet that had been High Street pushed 4 oxen, buried up to their middles, dragging behind them a heavy plough. Snow fell away from the great blade in a gigantic wave. They are breaking out the road, explained Judith. Now we will be able to get to the lecture. That evening, for the first time since Kit's arrest, William came to call. He had stayed away, he explained, out of consideration for the illness in the house. He inquired courteously after Mercy's health, and she smiled at him from the bed, where she sat propped against the feather pillows. Rachel fluttered to draw a chair for him. On the opposite side of the hearth, Kit was intent on her spinning. She had taken over Mercy's flax wheel and was slowly mastering the art of winding a fine, uniform thread. It took concentration and a steady hand. Now the humming of the wheel barely slackened as she raised her eyes for one grave, cool look. William's eyes flickered away toward the leaping flames. It was Judith who kept the conversation going. She had fiercely resented her enforced absence from church and lectures. Now she demanded to know everything that had happened. Which of her friends were up and about? When there might be a sleighing party? I hope John gets back soon, she sighed, thankful Peabody's wedding is to be in December, and I can't bear it if he isn't here for that. They say in town there's been no word from the detachment since they stopped at Hadley. There's been new Indian raids up Deersfield way. Judith dropped her knitting and stared at William. Mercy leaned her head against the pillow and closed her eyes. Aunt Rachel sprang to her feet in alarm. I'm surprised at you for spreading rumors, William, she reproved him. They say no news is good news. Now 'tis way past Mercy's bedtime. She looks white as a ghost. She hesitated. Kit, you and William can lay a fire in the company room if you like. Kit did not look up from her spinning. 'Twould take a monstrous lot of wood to heat the room before midnight, she observed. He's such a handful. William took the hint and pulled on his heavy beaver fur coat and cap. Kit would not have risen from her place at all, but Rachel, with a meaningful nudge, handed her a candle, and she had perforce to see her suitor to the door. In the hallway, William did not seem disposed to hurry. He lingered so long that Kit was forced to shut the door behind them to keep the chilling draught from the kitchen. "I've missed you, Kit," said William finally. "I had to come back." Kit said nothing. "You don't seem very pleased to see me." How could a girl say that there had been a time when she had longed with all her heart to see him? Besides, there was something more on William's mind. "I don't want you to think that I hold anything against you, Kit," he said awkwardly. "Everyone knows that you meant well. They are all saying in the town what a help you have been to your aunt these past weeks." Caden, what are you doing? Are you silly? No, you can't take the scissors. "You'll find when you come back, I promise you, Kit, that everyone is willing to let bygones be bygones, and that you can make a fresh start." Kit looked down at the tip of William's great boot. "What do you mean by a fresh start?" she asked. "I mean that it is well over. The widow Tupper is gone, and it won't be necessary to see much of the Truck child. Don't you agree, Kit, that from now on it would be wise to use a little more judgment about people?" "Mind you, I'm not speaking against Charity," he went on, seeing her mouth opening to protest. "We're supposed to care for the poor, but you overdo it, Kit." "But it wasn't Charity," Kit burst out. "Hannah and Prudence, they're my friends." "That is just what I mean. We're judged by the company we keep, and in our position, people look to us for an example of what is right and proper." "And I am to set an example by turning my back on my friends?" Kit's eyes glittered. "Oh, Kit," pleaded William miserably, "I didn't want to quarrel with you tonight, but try to see it from my side. It would make a man uneasy never knowing what his wife would do next." "'Twould make a wife uneasy never knowing whether she could depend on her husband," Kit answered readily. William had the grace to flush, but he held stubbornly to his position. A month ago, Kit's temper would have flared, but all at once she realized that William could not really anger her. She had had a long time to think, that night on the river bank, and the longer night in the constable's shed. She had never consciously made any decision, but suddenly there it was, waiting and unmistakable. "'Tis no use, William," she said now. "You and I would always be uneasy, all of our lives. We would always be hoping for the other one to be different, and always being disappointed when it didn't happen. No matter how hard I tried, I know I could never care about the things that seem so important to you." "The house isn't important to you?" he asked slowly. "Yes, in a way it is," she admitted. "I'd like to live in a fine house, but not if it means I have to be an example, not if it means I can't choose my own friends." William, too, had been doing some thinking. He did not seem surprised, only gravely regretful. "Perhaps you are right, Kit," he conceded. "I have hoped all this year that you would forget your odd ways and learn to fit in. I thought you would just try." She shook her head. "Then I will not be coming again?" "'Tis no use, William," she repeated. At the door he turned and looked back, his face baffled and unhappy. There was in his eyes just the merest flicker of the look she had seen there on that first morning outside of the meeting house. In that instant Kit knew that she had only to speak one word. "Oh, sorry." "What are you doing? What are you doing?" "Oh, hi." Look, do you have penguins? Do you have little penguins on your shirt? You're so dirty. Do you have penguins? Oh, it's so cute. Oh, nice. Oh. He's cute. Yeah, penguin, so cute. Kit knew that she had only to speak one word or to stretch out her hand, but she did not speak, and presently William opened the door and was gone. Now the long evenings about the hearth were seldom relieved by any visitor. For hours on end, the whir of the spinning wheel and the twang of the loom were the only sounds. Except for a formal bow of greeting on Sabbath morning and on lecture day, Kit did not see William again till the day of Thankful Peabody's wedding. How'd you like your name to be Thankful? Yeah, that'd be dumb. Thankful's wedding was the first festivity Wethersfield had enjoyed since the sickness. Oh, Caden, what are you doing? What are you doing? You making messes. Getting into trouble. Through drifts of snow, waist high, by sleigh and sled and snowshoe, young people and old folks and children gathered in the spacious Peabody home, relieved to shake off the labor and anxiety of the past weeks and to rejoice with the happy couple. The feast spread out on the board. Hi. 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 You're in that. Hi. That's what he does when he wants attention when in the middle of something. He tips his head and looks up at me. Hi. Hi. Oh, hugs. Oh, thank you for the hugs. Oh, you're so nice. I love you. Hey, don't pull my hair. Be nice. Oh. He does not want me to read. He wants my full attention. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, wow. Yeah, that's the mushroom. So cute. Oh, okay. The feast spread out on the board would be talked of for weeks to come. There were apple and mince and dried berry pies, little spice cakes with maple sugar frosting, candied fruits and nuts, pitchers of sweet apple cider, and great mugs of steaming flip for the men. 7 different kinds of cake, Judith counted surreptitiously. I'll never be able to have anything half so grand at my wedding. Kit scarcely heard her. Sorry, he's so loud. She was remembering the last wedding she had attended. Could it be only a year ago in Barbados? She could shut her eyes and see the long damask-covered tables set with gold and silver plate. The banquet had lasted for 4 hours. Light from crystal chandeliers had twinkled back from gold braid and jewels. Deep windows had opened out on curving formal gardens, and the sea breezes had filled the room with the scent of flowers. An almost intolerable loneliness wrapped Kit away from the joyous crowd. She was filled with a restlessness she could not understand. What was it that plagued her with this longing to turn back? Was it that far-off memory of elegance and beauty, or was it just the look in Thankful's eyes as she stood radiant in her rose-colored lustering wedding dress? Oh my goodness. You are a handful. I need that. Nope. No, you can't wreck it. I need it. We'll put it away. Sorry. You're such a handful. You're such a handful. Yeah, you're crazy. You're just making messes. Oh, penguins. So cute. Oh, look at the penguin. Oh, it's so cute. Yeah. Yeah, I love you. Was it that far off elegance and beauty, or was it just the look in Thankful's eyes as she stood, radiant? He wants my full attention. He's like, it's my turn, Mama. I'm almost done, baby. Yeah. In her rose-colored lustering wedding dress, and listened to the toasts to her future. Kit and Judith, each lost in her own thoughts, stood together near the wall, unable to join in the merrymaking. From across the room, William watched them gravely, making no move. When the bride and groom had driven off in their sleigh toward the snug new house that awaited them, the guests turned back to the laden tables. 2 fiddlers in the corner scraped a lively tune, and some of the more daring young people began to dance. No one paid attention to the 2 tardy guests who appeared at the door, letting in a gust of wind, till suddenly a woman screamed and threw her arms about a snow-covered figure. Then abruptly the music stopped, and the laughter was checked, and everyone crowded about the newcomers. Boo. They were 2 Wethersfield men returned from Massachusetts with a detachment of militia. The story they had to tell put a somber end to the happy evening. Of the detachment of 20, only 8 had come back to Hartford. You just need attention. Just kidding. Oh my goodness, you're such a handful. You're such a handful. Such a handful. Yeah, you're a stinker. I love you. Just south of Hadley, before they could reach Deerfield, they had been ambushed by Indians who attacked savagely with both arrows and French rifles. 4 men had been killed outright, and 2 others had died of wounds on the trail home. The rest had been surrounded and taken captive. For a few days, the survivors had attempted to follow the Indians till heavy snow had made it impossible to go on. They had found the scalped body of one of the captives lying by the trail, and they had little hope that in that weather any of the prisoners would have been spared. They had turned back, and made their way on snowshoes, barely reaching Hadley before another blizzard set in. The sobered guests crowded close, waiting for one answer. No, none of the Wethersfield men had been killed, but one of the captives was that young fellow who had been studying with the doctor, John Holbrook. In the mingled relief and horror. Oh, I love you. You're such a stinker. You just need full attention, don't you? You just want full attention. You're stinker. Yeah. Yeah. Who is it? Is that you? Who's that? Look, go. In the mingled relief and horror, few of them noticed the faint wail that came from Judith, or saw her waver and fall. Kit and Rachel sprang forward, but it was William who reached her first. Aw, see. Hey, careful. I knew her and William belonged together. It was William who reached her first and carried her gently to the settle by the fire, and it was William who later tucked her carefully into his sleigh and drove her home. In the weeks that followed, watching Judith, Kit began to understand how the gray shadow that was her Aunt Rachel could once have been the toast of an army. Hopelessness had erased the color and animation from Judith's face and set her lovely features into a still mask. Kit ached for her, but even more, she was torn with pity for Mercy, whose grief could not find an outlet in a tear or a word. Yeah, that's what's sad, is Mercy's in love with him, and everybody's saying, oh, poor Judith, and, trying to help her get through it and take care of her, and then Mercy just has to suffer in silence because nobody knows. It's sad. No, don't get my papers. Would Mercy's scant strength be equal to this burden? Rachel worried that her daughter did not gain, and fussed over the fire concocting nourishing stews which Mercy obediently tried to swallow. In some contradictory way, grief seemed to have etched on Mercy's thin face a beauty it had never possessed. Behind the clear gray eyes, the light still burned steadily. Should I tell her? Kit wondered. Surely now Mercy has a right to know that John loved her. But watching Mercy's stillness, she found a new patience to resist her own impulse. Someday the time would come when Mercy could know. The Christmas season passed, unmarked by any rejoicing. There was no holiday in this Puritan town, no feasting, no gifts. The day went by like any other, filled with work, and Kit said nothing. Ashamed that in this somber household she should even remember a happy English Yuletide. That's like at our house. Our tree was locked away and the key got lost when we moved, so we didn't have our tree, but that's okay. We didn't have any presents to put under it anyway. January dragged by, and February. It was the hardest winter most of the townspeople could remember. Old people shook their heads, recalling blizzards of their childhood. But it was impossible for Kit to visualize anything more bleak than this first winter of her experience. She no longer saw any beauty in a world muffled in white. She hated the long days of imprisonment, when there was nothing to see through the window but shifting curtains of pale gray, when drifts stood waist high on the doorstep, and it took hours of back-breaking labor to carve a passage to the well. She hated the drafty floors and frigid corners and the perpetual animal reek of heavy clothes hung about the fireplace to dry. Every night she shrank from the moment when she and Judith must make the dread ascent to the upstairs chamber with only the meager comfort of a warming pan. But, impatient as she was with the long days indoors, the outdoors promised only aching misery. She resented the arduous preparation for the journey to meeting, the heavy leather boots, the knit socks drawn over them, the clumsy little foot stove they had to lug all the way, that cooled off long before the sermon was finished and left one to sit with stinging fingers and toes while the breath of the whole congregation rose like the smoke from so many pipes. How could Hannah have ever endured it? Kit often shivered alone in that cabin with the wind howling outside and no one to speak to for weeks on end. But the cat and the goats, Caden, sorry, he is such a helper. You are a helper. She hoped there was a cozy hearth at Nat's grandmother's house, and her own heart warmed at the thought of the two old ladies sharing it together. Then her restless thoughts would drift after the dolphin. Nat had offered to take her with him. Suppose she had accepted his offer. Hey, be nice. If she had never come back, would anyone here in this house really have cared very much? By now, she would be in Barbados. At this very moment, she might be, the broom in her hand or the treadle under her foot, would be idle to a stop as she walked in imagination up the wide drive to her grandfather's house and stepped up to the long shady veranda. Then she would shake herself free. Such daydreaming was a weakness. The house was sold, and she was here in New England, and perhaps Nat had really meant his offer at all. One night she woke from a vivid dream. She and Nat stood side by side at the bow of the Dolphin, watching that familiar curving prow carving gently through the calm turquoise water. They came soundlessly into a palm-studded harbor, fragrant with the scent of blossoms, and happiness was like sunshine, wrapping her round and pouring into her heart till it overflowed. She woke in the freezing darkness. I want to go back, she admitted at last, weeping. I want to go home, where green things are growing, and I will never see snow again as long as I live. Her tears scalding her eyelids froze instantly against the pillow. Lying tense beside Judith, she made a resolve. After that, all through the cheerless days, she hugged the dream close, sometimes driven by her restlessness. How about nope? Can't have that. He can take the lid off of markers. It's scary. He's way too smart. He knows it. You can't take the scissors either. You're okay. Don't be grumpy. Go bleh. You getting down? You gonna pick up all the stuff you threw on the floor? You made a big mess down there. Sometimes, driven by her restlessness, she would talk about Barbados to Mercy. Once, when I was quite small, she would say over the hum of the flax wheel, my grandfather took me to see a great cave. You had to go to it when the tide was very low, and when a wave washed across the rocks, it made a sort of curtain across the opening of the cave. But inside, it was very calm and still, and the water on the floor was as clear as glass. Underneath the water, there was a sort of garden made of colored rocks, and all over the roof of the cave there were queer hanging shapes, like those icicles outside the window, only pale green and orange and rose-colored. He's falling off with something, and I don't know what it is, but he was hiding it from me, so I'm thinking it was something he probably shouldn't have. It was so beautiful, Mercy. Mercy would look across at Kit's wistful face and smile in understanding. She knows, Kit thought. When I tell them that my mind is made up, she will not try to keep me. She will be sorry, I think, but truly. What is it? Where did you even get that? Oh, I guess it's not bad. Should we? Yeah. It's a little painted rock a lady gave us in Montana. Little ladybug rock. I don't even know where you found that, monkey. Here. You can take it. What he'll do is he'll go out off of the carpet onto the hardwood floor and then throw it down as hard as he can to make a big bang to annoy the neighbors downstairs. That's what he's going to do with it. Oh, I lost my place. She knows, Kit thought. When I tell them that my mind is made up, she will not try to keep me. She will be sorry, I think, but truly, won't they, all of them, be a little relieved? In all honesty, she often argued, wouldn't she help the family most by leaving? Did the help she managed to give her aunt and uncle ever begin to make up for their trouble, and for the inescapable fact that she was another person to feed and clothe? Though no one ever so much as hinted at it, the grim truth was that where a short time ago 2 girls had been well provided for, there was now every likelihood of 3 spinsters in the Wood household. No, she amended, Judith would never be a spinster. Kit had watched William's face in meeting, and she knew that he was only biding his time. And Judith, in spite of her downcast eyes, was well aware of this. But every right of beauty and accomplishment, Judith belonged in the new... by every right of beauty and accomplishment, Judith belonged in the new house on Broad Street. In their secret hearts, all 3 of them, she and William and Judith, had really known that all along. It needed only time now to bring about the match, which Kit and John Holbrook had interrupted. In March, a fresh blizzard buried the town in drifts. The long days were on, one as like another, at the endless threads of the loom. Oh, Caden, you little sunshine. You're such a helper. If there is a way for him to cause trouble, he finds it. Oh, sweetie, what am I going to do with you, monkey? You made a mess. Made a big mess. Pumpkin. The long days wore on, one as like another as the endless threads of the loom. Though the bitter cold did not abate, the daylight hours grew perceptibly longer. They lighted the candles a bit later every afternoon. Judith had just set the brass candlestick on the table one late afternoon, and the girls were moving the table nearer to the hearth in preparation for supper, when a knock sounded at the door. "See who it is, Kit," said Rachel absently. "I don't want to take my hands out of this flour." Kit went into the hallway, leaving the kitchen door open behind her, drew back the bolt, and opened the door. A gaunt, ragged figure stood on the step, and as she shrank back, a man pushed his way through the door and halted on the kitchen threshold. Judith suddenly let fall a wooden bowl with a clatter. Rachel, wiping her hands on her apron, came forward, peering in the dim light. "Can it be John?" she breathed tremulously. The man did not even hear her. His eyes had gone straight to Mercy, where she sat by the hearth, and her own eyes stared back, enormous in her white face. Then, with a hoarse, wordless sigh, John Holbrook stumbled across the room and went down on his knees with his head in Mercy's lap. Aw. Aw. Well, that's the end of chapter 20, and it was a long chapter. Oh, it's been almost 40 minutes. It was an extra long chapter. That's a rough place to end. But there is only one more chapter, so we're going to finish it tomorrow. And I should apologize for all the distractions, but, he's adorable, so it's probably not too terrible. You going to come say bye? Say bye! Bye-bye! See you tomorrow! Oh. Oh, I love you. Oh. Say bye. Oh, he just wants hugs. He just wants hugs. All right. We will see you tomorrow. Come back and finish the story with us. Bye-bye. Love kisses. Love kiss. He's got the kiss part down, but not the blow part. So we just go. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Oh, there you go. All right. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Bye. See you tomorrow. Bye.